I have used a variety of media technologies throughout all stages of the creation of my media products. Firstly, in the research stage of my production, one of my most used technologies was YouTube. YouTube allowed me to view other music videos of the folk genre, which as a result helped me to identify the key conventions that I used in my media product. All of my research was then posted onto Tumblr. I used Tumblr to embed folk music videos that I had seen, as well as music videos from other genres to compare them with. I also posted images of artists' digipacks and magazine adverts on Tumblr and was able to evaluate them, keeping all of my research in one online location. I used Vimeo to find videos of techniques I wanted to include in my final product, such as slow motion and time-lapse. I was then able to upload these videos onto my Tumblr blog to discuss the techniques used and how I would like to use them in my final product. I used my iPhone 4S to take pictures of the inside and outside of digipacks to evaluate on my blog, as I found it difficult to find pictures of the albums online. I then used my iPhone to upload these pictures directly to my blog using the Tumblr application. During the planning stage of my project, I used Microsoft Word to create pre-production documents such as a shot list. I then used a scanner to scan my pre-production documents into the computer and upload to my Tumblr blog, as the documents were not in a format that was compatible with Tumblr. We used a script writing software called Celtex, which ensured that we wrote our script in the correct format. We could then upload the script straight from Celtex to our Tumblr blogs. I also used Prezi, which is an online presentation software, to put a variety of pre-production documents together in a mind map format. I then uploaded this Prezi presentation to my Tumblr blog. Throughout the construction stage of my project, I used several different media technologies. I used a Canon 550D camera to shoot most of the footage for my music video, with a pixel aspect ratio of 1920 by 1080, shooting at 25 frames per second. The footage was stored on a memory card in the camera, which I then removed and put into a card reader in order to upload the footage to my computer. To shoot the time-lapse sequence of the clouds, I used a Canon 5D Mark II camera, which shot still frames with a pixel aspect ratio of 1920 by 1080. This camera uses a compact flash card, which has a higher storage capacity than a standard SD memory card, and also uses less processing time. I also used a Canon electronic shutter release with an interval timer to shoot this footage. This allowed me to set the camera up to automatically take a still image with intervals between each image. I then used Final Cut Pro 7 to upload these still images to turn them into an animation sequence, consequently creating the time-lapse. I also used Final Cut Pro 7 to edit my music video. I ran the Final Cut Pro software on a MacBook Pro laptop, which I then plugged into a 27-inch Apple Thunderbolt display monitor. I edited my project directly into an external hard drive, which I plugged into my MacBook Pro laptop. This meant that my project was being saved directly onto the hard drive, and the large project wasn't slowing the computer down. I used a compressor program, which is within the Final Cut Pro software, to export the file and compress it into suitable formats. I compressed the project into different formats for different purposes. For example, one format which I used suitable for uploading to YouTube, and another format which was suitable for viewing on iPhones, etc. I also used Quick Movie to create screen recordings of the editing process to upload to my Tumblr blog. To create my ancillary texts, I used Adobe Photoshop Elements, which is a basic version of Photoshop. I found that although this was a simplified version of the software, it was perfect for what I needed to produce and was not too complex to use. I also used Google to find a template for my digipack, which I then downloaded onto Photoshop and used as a layer. I moved the MP3 of the music track from iTunes into Final Cut Pro. In the evaluation stage of my project, I used Prezi presentation software for 2 of my evaluation questions. For one of these evaluation questions, I used Photo Booth on my MacBook to film myself, which I then uploaded to a Prezi presentation. I used a Canon 5D Mark II camera to film audience feedback. I then used Final Cut Pro 7 to edit this feedback into a montage. I also used the Canon 5D Mark II camera to take still images to create a stop frame animation. I used Final Cut Pro to turn these images into an animated sequence. I created a podcast using the voice memo application on my iPhone, which I placed over the top of this animation using Final Cut Pro. I also used social networking sites, Facebook and Twitter, to publicise my music video and gain feedback from others.